Sindarov is completely dominating the 2026 FIDE Candidates, and I wanted to know exactly what he's doing differently from the rest. And since my 2300 Elo brain is not big enough to fully understand everything that's going on, I decided to use AI to break it down more thoroughly. So my plan was simple: get all the games played so far, analyze Sindarov's games, analyze everyone else's games, and then compare the data to find out his secret. The only issue is there isn't a tool out there that can do all that, so I had to figure it out myself. To understand why this is significant, you have to know how difficult it is to win at the highest level in chess. First, you have to be perfectly prepared in the opening. Then, you have to come out of the opening with a position where you actually have a chance to push for an advantage. Then, you have to outplay your opponent, and finally, you have to convert that advantage into a full point. Doing that once is achievable, but doing it consistently and consecutively against the best prepared players in the world is an insane feat. And that is why Sindarov's performance is so mind-blowing. We are halfway through the tournament as at the time of this recording. Sindarov is 6 out of 7. I mean 6-7. He has drawn 2 games and won 5, which is one of the most, if not the most dominating performance in FIDE Candidates history. So I decided to look deeply into his games to find out what exactly is giving him such an edge. To get started, I needed to analyze the games in bulk. I started out by searching for a tool that could bulk analyze and export a report, but to no avail. However, I stumbled across Kara, a pretty good free chess analysis tool you can run on your computer. Shout outs to Nakamura for such a cool project. You should definitely check it out. It's quite simple to set up. I installed the app, downloaded Stockfish and loaded it into it, and boom, it worked. With Kara, I was able to run the bug analysis. The only issue was I couldn't figure out how to export the report, and I couldn't just copy and paste it. So I went back out to see if there was some other free tool that could help me.
A few moments later.
After a few hours of searching and trying out Google AI suggestions, I came up with a genius plan. Write a custom Python script that will analyze the games for me and give me the raw data. You see, to understand what's going on, I realized there are just a few specific pieces of data I needed: the move accuracy and the complexity of the positions. With that information, I should be able to clearly see the difference between Sindarov games and the rest of the field. So I went on to write the script, which didn't work. Claude to the rescue. Here's how the final script works. It takes all the games in the PGM file, analyzes all of them, extract the data, and split the result into 2 files. The first file contains only Sindarov's games and stats, while the second file contains the baseline for everyone else's game. Oh wait, I think it's working though. Oh, it works. Now I got both the data sets in CSV files. I moved these files over to Claude and prompted it to give me a detailed analysis of the data, using it to point out exactly what differentiated Sindarov's games from the rest. And here is the report. Yeah, this is basically Sindarov versus the field. These graphs are basically the data sets we were able to get from the analysis, and it was plotted and analyzed by Claude to, probably determine what it is that Sindarov is actually doing differently from the rest of the field. So it says a data-driven analysis of what separates Sindarov from the rest of the field after 7 rounds. So at the time of this recording, they've played just 7 rounds. They're halfway through the tournament, and Sindarov is completely dominating. You see here, he has 6/7, 6-7, and he's 1.5 points ahead of Caruana and over 2.5 points ahead of Prague and the rest of the field, which is actually insane. So the first finding from this little project is that he actively seeks complexity and thrives in it. Like I mentioned in the previous game where I analyzed his game against Caruana, I said it multiple times that he loves this kind of position. He loves to put himself in a situation where things are complex, and that is because usually in complex positions, it creates opportunity for there to be potential in comparison to some of the veterans and the strong GMs that always like to keep things under control. He likes to explore and make things a lot more complex to stand a chance for somebody at least to get a win. So it says here Sindarov's games averages a complexity of 16.7, and that compares to the 9.7 for the rest of the field. So his game were way more complex than everyone else. So his games are almost 70% more tactical and positionally demanding than a typical game of the entire field. Second thing here is that he dominates on the clock. He's very well prepared for this tournament, and he's prepared to take those risks. He is not prepared to come and be, hold, be positional, try not to lose. No. He prepared to come and create a lot of complexity on the board. Out of the 7 games he's played, 6 of them he has more time on the clock than his opponent. The margins are like enormous. They are so great. So he has 37 minutes ahead of Caruana, completely outplayed him from the opening. 33 minutes against Giri, ahead of Giri, almost 30 minutes ahead of Hikaru at some point, 19 minutes ahead of Wei. Now the third thing here is preparation goes further than anyone else. Like I mentioned earlier, it goes hand in hand with his complexity. He's prepared and he has come to the tournament knowing that these are the kind of positions he wants to play. We have here, so even Caruana mentioning that I kind of got caught in the opening, which is very surprising. And if you haven't already, check out the video in the channel where I analyze his games against Caruana. He completely outplayed Caruana from the opening, which is very surprising because Caruana is one of the best opening players of all time. Even Hikaru mentioned his files. The move castle was not in his files. If you've seen his game against Nakamura, he started with a very sharp and complex opening, even regardless of the fact that he was black. Like, check out this position. You see he takes on G2, now he's attacking the pawn, and just around here, I think it was after castle, Nakamura thought for, look at Nakamura's time here. He had 1 minute 50 seconds. After this move, guess what? Took about an hour trying to figure out the move, because according to him, castle was not in his files. Which is actually insane. So that goes to show how well prepared Sindarov's opening is for this tournament. Now the fourth thing is it's a draw avoiding mindset to a drawn pool in a drawn pool tournament. In past candidates, they are rounds where everyone gets a draw, like it's very drawish. Everyone is trying to be solid because they just don't want to take the risk. They just don't want to make the mistakes. And in this kind of field, having that mindset of I don't want to draw is actually a superpower, and that is what he has taken to his advantage. Now granted, it could potentially go wrong at some point because sometimes you need to be solid, but so far so good. It has gone very right for him. For example, he had this position against Esipenko in the first round where you can definitely argue that he will have the worst position here. But even in position like this where he doesn't really have a lot going, as if you see this bishop doesn't have anywhere, it's not eyeing anywhere, like it's just his position is definitely worse here. Even in positions like this, he doesn't play for a draw, and that is one of the major things that differentiates him from the entire field. Now the fifth and final reason is winning with black. You see, in the super grandmaster level, in the highest level of chess, it is very difficult to win as black, and so a lot of time white gets to dictate how the game progresses. It is very difficult to equalize and then start fighting for an advantage. But in this case, it says here that out of the three out of the 5 wins that Sindarov has are with the black pieces. He won the black pieces against Pragnada, against Nakamura, and against Wei, which is very, very impressive. So winning with the black pieces in his level is exceptionally rare. Doing that 3 times in a single tournament singles that his preparation and middle game feel operate above the field. Now summary, Sindarov is not dominating by playing safe or hoping players blunder. He's dominating by consistently steering the games into complex positions available, arriving there more prepared and better clocked than anyone across the table, and converting these advantages with high accuracy. There you have it. This is literally the fastest start in modern candidates history. Personally, I think Sindarov has this in the bag, but it's not over until it's over. What do you think? Do you think the tournament is effectively over, or do you think perhaps Fabiano could potentially catch up? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out my video on how to solve your opening problems if you'd like to dominate right from the opening like Sindarov.